Hi there and welcome back to Japan, where we're going to be discussing Generation Gap by GACHARIC Spin. As usual, reaction and review. This is the review video. If you want to see the reaction, pause this, click the little link in the description below, and it will take you to a separate little player that will come up, a little YouTube player where you can watch that separately, just in case you wanted to see the song, if you've never heard it before. I'm assuming maybe you have if you already clicked on this link, or just in case you wanted to see how I responded the first time I heard it. Now, I've just finished listening to it, and I'm going to tell you what I think about it. That's the format, in case you weren't aware. So you ready for the review? Pause if you want to see the reaction. Nearly too late. Don't say I didn't warn you. Here comes the review. Okay, so yeah, I love the fact that it's been a while since we've done any GACHARIC Spin. And I love the fact that I had scuppered my own case in advance when I did the reaction by introducing it by saying how this is a band who, like I say, usually the thing that gets me is that they are a bit on the chaotic side, which I like. I'm a big fan of bands who have big chaotic sounds. Bands like Alia and Wagaki Band have really taken my interest of recent. And if anything, you know, this is one of the faster bands. I tend to like bands who are kind of fast and kinetic and keep you on the edge of your seat. So in a lot of ways, I really want to like this band. And when they're good, they're really good. But sometimes they do songs that to me just sound a bit messy and chaotic. Now this is kind of going almost signposting a very deliberate step in the opposite direction, even if just for this single. But I was kind of immediately taken in by the fact that what hits you from the outset is that it doesn't sound like, you know, when sometimes a band tries to play to a certain sound, often there's a degree of parody here as well. I can tell, obviously, you can tell by the way they're dressed up and everything. I'm sure even before the video concept came up with, I'm sure there's a degree of parody in the way they're doing this, but often that can be a difficult thing because it can come across like you're not taking it seriously and the song can sound like a bit of a desperate grab at stereotypes. However, in this particular case, it just immediately hits you as being like a really effective sort of modern funk song. I'm not going to go in the disco direction, but it has like sort of disco towards it. You know, it sounds like a sort of modern funk song done very well. This is why I did briefly reference Mark Ronson, because Mark Ronson's obviously had his little moment of uptown funk and various things, and you know, and yeah, actually, you could have to reference Bruno Mars as well. I guess I'm sure anyone who's a big fan of GACHARIC Spin is probably really reeling from the fact that I just made those two references. But my point is that sort of idea of modern, well-engineered, funky music that has that sort of old-school trumpet vibe, and you know, sort of the funky guitars, the electric keyboard, and you know, trumpets and everything, and the multiple vocalists. That's a style that it can be done right. It can be done in a way that it's actually kind of nice, appeasing, and poppy, but in a good way. And I think that when I was listening to this, it just, like I say, it immediately struck me from the beginning that actually, you know, this sounds like they know what they're doing. You know, I haven't delved too much into their album tracks or anything before, so I don't really know if they do have done this kind of thing before. But as a general, I never got the feeling they did so much. And so just listening to this, I'm just really taken by how good it functions. One of the big things as well is that over the length of a song like this, these kinds of songs, if they're quite long, they base on the idea of having a groove that's pretty much consistent throughout. You might change the timbre, the thickness of the arrangement, you might change things, but kind of the groove remains the same throughout. It's almost like an ongoing jam, and the idea is to keep it going, keep it funky, keep it moving. It's sort of the progenitor to what we see with modern, like, electronic dance music and EDM, where the idea is, you know, the DJ just mixes the songs one into another, so it's a constant stream of boom, boom, boom. It's kind of like that, except for when you go back to this style of music, it's more about, you know, keeping a jam going, keeping a riff going, keeping a jam going, I think is probably the best way of describing it. So when you're listening to a song that's written to have that kind of funky vibe, what you're really listening for is, does it stay fresh? So like I say, it immediately grabbed me as just having a really good sound. But what was interesting is that in a nearly 5-minute song, maybe not long by some standards, but certainly by the standard of, you know, doing something which is based around a single groove for the best part, did it manage to maintain a sense of freshness? Did at any time it feel a little bit repetitive or like it was just sort of going back around to the same thing? And no, it didn't. It felt fresh throughout. I really liked the fact that they had the playfulness between the vocalists. So during the verses, you're not just listening to a melody go around, you're kind of watching the play between them. You're enjoying that almost sort of chemistry in the performance. And then the way that it moves from that into, there wasn't really particularly a memorable chorus or anything. It was just the whole vibe, the whole energy of the song was kind of more memorable than anything. The energy, you know what I mean? It kind of gave a good atmosphere, a good feeling. And you did feel very much like, like the first time you listen to those sort of good funky songs, you can reference it back to all kinds of stuff. Like, so you could go back to the old funk bands. I mean, Jackson 5 were quite popular in Japan. You could kind of get a feeling that maybe there was like some Jackson 5 references going on in the back of someone's mind or something. You really just can't help but feel that this was done with an air of love, and that came across in understanding the idea is thinking of playful ways to extract the most out of the core concept of your song, or the core concept of whatever that is, usually bass line is that you're basing everything around. And credit as well, the bass line was really well handled. I like that. Like I say, the musicians here, they're musicians who, as a general, they are a good, really talented band from what I can see, what I've heard when we did the review of them performing live. I was quite impressed by some of the performances there as well. I was like, okay, these guys are clearly really good at what they do. And like I say, sometimes they can get overly chaotic, I think, in their sound. And again, I like that sort of wall of sound thing, but everything has to click, and sometimes it doesn't. What was interesting is here, when they took that step back, everything felt a lot more full, ironically. They weren't playing to 110%. They were sort of playing relatively simple stuff. But you heard everything. Like I say, you could hear the way the keyboard was underpinning everything, but gently doing some interesting things going between the other instruments. The guitar work was very simple, as it would be in this type of music, but again, really well thought out. The bass, fairly simple bass line, but nice sort of use of little runs and fills, and you're just accenting all the right places. Drum beat, again. Yeah, she does a really good job, especially for a singing drummer. She does a really good job of, being a drummer as well. And I just thought that everyone felt like they weren't pushing themselves to the maximum so much as they were wisely extracting the most from the song. So yeah, I know this is probably not going to play to the greatest wishes, as per that one dislike the video had, the greatest wishes of every GACHARIC Spin fan. And I can imagine if you were into them for that sort of chaotic, full force madness, this might feel a little bit like a kind of an unwanted detour, like, are you taking the piss? But I think if you see it as a creative bit of fun from a band who have the talent and ability to do so, and clearly have a passion for what they're producing here, because like I say, this doesn't feel like parody. This feels like a very good, solid attempt at a sort of funky, modern song. If you take it on that vibe, then this is really this is cool. This is great. Yeah, like I say, I'm naturally not so much. I'm more into sort of madcap, crazy OTT music than I would say I'm normally into funk. I'm kind of into every genre to a varying degree. But I can sit back and I can really appreciate this as being really well executed. It had a nice fun video as well, which brought a bit of life to it. Nice and simple. Again, not overdone. I think they were working on a budget and they extracted the most out of the budget by the look of it. But yeah, I think I can understand really if you are not into funky music, or if you're not into that kind of music where it kind of builds on a core, which again, I totally understand. Some people that's repetitive, however well you play it. You're not going to like this, and I totally understand that. However, I think if you're open to this type of music, this is a fantastic example, and I think it's a really good, just sort of fun party song that anyone can kind of get into. Like I say, if they're just not immediately turned off by the style of it as a general. So as always, that's my thoughts. I build them on my own subjective opinion. Although I've worked with music my entire adult life, I am very, very interested to hear other people's opinions. So get in the comments, tell me what you think, like, subscribe, all of the usual things that you do on YouTube. Feel free to follow any of our social medias as linked in the description below. Feel free to join our Patreon, because our Patreon's literally, we're a non-monetized channel. So I say it every video, I'm going to say it again. It's always going to be true. You guys keep the channel alive, keep it going. You keep those lights on, those posters back there, and coffee in this. So big thank you to you guys, and just a big thank you for making it through to the end of this video. I know it's a waffle fest every time, but it's great having you along for the ride. So let me know what you think, and hopefully I will see you again soon in Japan. But until then, for now, ciao ciao.